The training yard of the Coalition Military Academy buzzed with activity as senior instructor Zaxel made his rounds. The Gorian stood 3 meters tall, his chitinous exoskeleton gleaming like polished obsidian, for arms crossed in perpetual disapproval. "Pathetic!" he roared at the mixed-species cadets. The swarm could overrun this entire academy in minutes. Again, among the exhausted trainees, human cadet Lisa Park struggled to keep pace. At 19, she was one of the youngest and, by galactic standards, weakest. Her species had only joined the coalition 5 years ago. "Cadet Park." Zaxel's shadow fell over her. "You're falling behind. Again. Perhaps humans aren't meant for real military service." "Sir, I can." The slap came without warning. Zaxel's primary hand, capable of punching through steel, connected with Lisa's face. The sound cracked across the yard like a gunshot. She flew backward, blood spraying from her nose and mouth. "Weakness," Zaxel announced to the stun cadets, "has no place in my academy. Perhaps this will motivate." Lisa was already moving. Not standing. Not recovering. Moving. From her position on the ground, she swept Zaxel's legs, all 4 of them, with a technique no Gorian had ever seen. As the massive instructor toppled, surprised by his compromised balance, Lisa rolled to her feet with fluid grace. Her hand found his throat in the space between his chest plates. A gap barely 2 centimeters wide. A gap no Gorian thought needed protecting. 5 seconds, she said, blood still streaming from her face. That's how long a human can survive without oxygen. Want to know how long a Gorian can? Her grip tightened. Zaxel's 4 arms flailed, trying to grab her, but she was inside his reach. Every species had optimal combat ranges. Humans had learned them all. For seconds, Lisa continued, her voice clinical despite her injuries. "Your respiratory system is more efficient, but also more fragile." 3 seconds. Zaxel's compound eyes bulged. His struggles weakened. 2 seconds. 1. She released him just as his exoskeleton began to crack from the pressure. The instructor collapsed, gasping, very much alive but thoroughly defeated. Lisa stood over him, wiping blood from her face. "First lesson they teach human soldiers, we're not the strongest, fastest, or toughest. So we study. Every species. Every weakness. Every blind spot." The other cadets stared in shock. The human they dismissed as weak had just taken down one of the academy's most feared instructors in exactly 5 seconds. "You want to know why humans belong here?" Lisa addressed the yard, her voice carrying despite her injuries. "Because we've been the underdog our entire existence. We fought predators with sticks. We survived ice ages naked. We went to space strapped to controlled explosions. Being weaker doesn't make us victims. It makes us creative." She knelt beside Zaxel, who was still struggling to breathe. "You have superior strength, natural armor, and 4 arms. But you've never had to think about fighting. It just came naturally. We had to earn every advantage through blood and study." A medical team rushed in, checking both combatants. As they treated Lisa's fractured cheekbone and concussion, Senior Commander Velden approached. "Cadet Park," the avian officer said carefully, "attacking an instructor is grounds for expulsion." "With respect, sir," Lisa replied, holding an ice pack to her face. "Check Section 7 of the Coalition Military Code. Any instructor who strikes a cadet with potentially lethal force forfeits command authority and may be challenged under combat doctrine." I memorized the entire code. All 12,000 pages. Velden's feathers ruffled, the equivalent of raised eyebrows. "Why?" "Because that's what humans do. We can't match your strength, so we master your rules. We can't match your technology, so we learn to use it better. We can't match your natural weapons." She glanced at Zaxel being carried away on a stretcher, "So we find the 2-centimeter gap in your armor." Word spread through the academy within hours. The human cadet who'd been slapped down had risen up and defeated a Gorian warrior in exactly the time she'd predicted. Not through rage or strength, but through preparation and precision. The next morning, Lisa Park stood at attention with her fellow cadets, bruised but unbroken. No one called humans weak again.